Hello, hello. It's me. And I'm live. And if I could get some alien emojis in the chat to confirm that the sound is all good. In fact, I'll lower the background music down a bit. It is Friday, my dudes. I hope, as Jen in the chat says, I hope you're excited for some chips content, some potato chips content. Okay. And I'm just letting my friends know that I'm streaming, but those of you that are here right now, you're my best friends. So, Jen says my mic is a little low. I think it's because it's escaping me. Let me adjust my screen. And then that should be fine. Let me know otherwise in the chat if I can adjust anything else for you. As with any live stream, gamer fuel is of utmost importance, and so I've got my fizzy drink and I've got my flavored water. So we're staying hydrated this Friday. Cool, we just got the alien approval in the chat. And there's some sipping ASMR. Let's rock. Welcome to Glitch Jams Live. This is the third episode we've done of this weekly Friday stream. We created this just to kind of celebrate our kickoff of Glitch Community Code Jams, but we're going to keep it going, just like Jams itself. Speaking of Jams, current prompt is self-portrait. In the last couple of weeks, if you've been joining me, I've been working on my own submission for the self-portrait prompt, which we'll get to in a little bit. I want to show you actually some of the fun stuff first, which is what's been going on at Glitch, but especially there's been some really, really cool community projects that have been shared, and I want to show them to you. So if you have any questions as I'm going along, throw them in the chat. I am keeping an eye on it. That's what happens when my face is heading in this direction. I'm looking at the chat. This is an interactive stream. This is live. And say hi to all of my colleagues. Thank you for all joining. Okay, let's jump into it. So I went over Code Jam. Self-portrait is the prompt for November. December's coming up. Because of the holiday next week, Fastly, we have an office holiday on Thursday and Friday. So Glitch support will not be around except for emergencies on a Thursday and Friday, and I'll post that update in the forum. And there won't be any stream next week because of the holiday. So when we come back to the stream on Friday, December 1st, we'll be kicking off the newest prompt. So if you haven't done your self-portrait yet, finish it up, or you can continue working on it. You don't have to live by the constraints of the rules that I create. I don't make the rules, I just make the magic. But add the hashtag CodeJam into your project description. So yeah. Sean in the chat saying your microphone seems to slowly be falling down. That is correct. I have to work on my microphone situation. This one is not a huge fan of the physics of my current location. So I'm going to be working towards getting a better stand for that. But if it messes with my audio, let me know. But if it's just an acknowledgement that it's slowly going down, I know that too. Microphones, just like us, are all riding this carousel of time. But yeah, so CodeJam, hashtag CodeJam in your project description. Get it in, and you can work with me on yours later in the stream. Let's talk about the app of the week. So I featured this app on the stream last week. Minty Chris made this really awesome Game of Life, Conway's Game of Life app on Glitch, and it's using A-Frame, so you can use it with a VR headset or not. And yeah, it's really cool. And since we had featured it, they had updated it to give it some flavor. So it used to be just blue, and now it's got random colors, which is really, really cool to see. So check that out. I'm actually hoping that I can use my partner's headset some point this weekend because there's a couple of really cool glitch projects that have been using A-frame that I want to check out. What else? We have been rebuilding Glitch with the community. We've been talking about this on the stream and also in the forum. We have our next phase of it, which is something that we need your help with. So if you go to blog.glitch.com, you can see the latest update in rebuilding Glitch. We are working towards something that the community and all of us in Glitch have been really wanting, which is updating our containers with the latest version of Node. But as we work towards that, we have to deal with the fact that there are projects that are running very old versions of Node. And so we've started a schedule for deprecating or removing those versions from containers. And we just ask the community, if you happen to be using a project or running a project that has versions Node 8 or lower, or really like any older version, but right now this phase is about versions 6 and 8. We're going to be deprecating those versions. So on December 1st, Node 6 will be deprecated. Node 6 was the version of Node we were using in like 2016, 2017. So we're talking like early days of Glitch. And then on December 15th, we'll be deprecating all the versions underneath 8. And so what you can do is go into these projects and update the version in the package.json file. And you can find all the info on the blog, in the forum, and they all link out to our help doc that talks about what versions of Node you can use and how do you change and upgrade it. And we'll be keeping this table up to date. And just to acknowledge the timeline, for any future updates we plan for deprecating Node, we'll be giving at least 6 weeks to plan upgrades. But this is all working towards us getting containers up to date with the newest version of Node and into a cadence where we keep it up to date. So we're really excited about that, and that lays the path to thinking about future support of other languages that you like to use on Glitch that we don't necessarily support, like Python, for example. We encourage you to check out what your projects are, what they're running, and update them. And the engineering team is also working really hard on making some updates to make this whole process easier for you. And we acknowledge that in the blog post as well. So that is cool, exciting work. I know that I have some projects that I gotta get updated, but I also know that it's just updating one line in package.json, the Node engine, to Node 16. And so I'm going to be doing that. And if you're interested in me doing a stream where you just watch me do that, let me know. That's probably not of interest of you, but if it is, let me know. And I can make it happen. I have the YouTube stream key. I can go live whenever I feel like it, even on Thanksgiving when everyone's out. I probably won't do that though. Yeah, so there's that. If you have any questions about that, just throw it in the chat, or you can come to support.glitch.com and ask your question there in the forum. There's a link in the blog post announcement directly to the forum post where we talk about that. And we have been talking about it. So yeah. And if you're not a member of the Glitch community forum, support.glitch.com. Join. This is where we will be posting. We've been posting all of our announcements, but it's also where people are sharing the apps that I'm featuring today. So exciting stuff. We love a forum. Okay, let's see. Next, now, this is my favorite part of the week, is when I go through the World Wide Web, the information superhighway, and find the projects that y'all are creating and sharing across social media, and directly to us on the forum and email. And so I'm going to change my window over to some of my favorite apps that I saw this week. So, Foo Bingo. This is a bingo board based around a band. I don't know anything about them. They seem very entertaining based on the bingo board that it came with. I just like that of the bingo boards that we've found on Glitch, this one has a cool little marker chip click event. And so if you are looking to make a bingo board, I think that this one is a good one to start off with. And in fact, if you view the source of the project, because it's a public project and you can remix it. Normally when I see a project where I'm like, oh, I want to make this, but I don't know this band, so maybe I'll do a bingo board around a family event or a TV show. There is a JSON file where you add all of those items that end up on the card. So you can remix this app, update these items. In the index.html is where like the title is. And this is where the H1 tag, this is 1st of October bingo. You can remix this and just make a bingo board for anything that you like. And so I know that there's other bingo boards on Glitch, but I kind of like this red plastic chip. It's very nostalgic. My neighbor, she used to go to bingo and she would bring back like the markers and then the chips and stuff. And I like to play with the like red plastic chip things. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. This one's a cool project. This was mentioned in the forum. It's so weird. Like last week, I was struggling to. I had, there's a lot going on. It's the end of the year, so whether you're in school or work, it's like a really chaotic time. Like a million things are happening at once, and everyone's trying to get projects, launches, exams, reports, and all that kind of stuff in before the holiday and before everyone leaves for the holiday. And so I have at home a visual timer. It's called a time timer. And as you turn it, you can visually see with the color how much time is left. And so it's nice to kind of see out of the corner of my eye when I've set a timer for myself to complete a task, how much time is left versus having to constantly look. So it's helpful if you use your peripheral vision actively, which I think a lot of people with ADHD like myself do. Raul here made an in-browser time timer, and last week I was kind of like, man, I wish I had a time timer in the office, but they're disruptive. That I'm not turning it because it makes a beeping sound at the end, and that would be really rude to have in an office that I share with my coworkers. So Raul made a time timer, or they said, well, technically I got a ChatGPT, which is still making, to build a clone of a time timer. And and it was to show their students the combination of AI chat and code is on Glitch. And so this is just really cool. It looks exactly like the time timer, and you set it to a certain time, and I'll do it so there's not much time left to go. And if my browser settings are correct, I'm using Firefox on this machine. When the timer goes down to 0, it will make a beeping sound. I know it worked on my work machine, and on my work machine I'll have my AirPods in, so the beeping is not as disruptive to my coworkers, which is the whole point of it. But yeah, this is really cool. I'll find, if I haven't already, made a playlist of Pomodoro apps and timers and stuff like that. These are something that I use a lot to focus on my work and doing chores and stuff. Do you hear that? That's also exactly what the time timer sounds like. I don't know if you heard it, but it beeped when it got to 0. And that's cool. I think I will remix this. I have it saved. I think I'll remix it so that when it gets to 0, the background color changes so that it actually visually tells me that it's at the end, because it is kind of hard to see when it's exactly at the 0. But yeah, really, really neat stuff there. Okay, close these out since I've gone through them. This is cute. I love generative art, and I love just clicking things and pressing buttons and stuff. So this app, Geometric Abstraction Inspo da Glitch on Me, you just click and it generates random rectangles, and that's just kind of fun to do. Sometimes you just clicking. You ever wait for a glitch project to wake up and you're just drawing with the little cursor that we give you? This is kind of that thing. It just grabs your attention. And then if you find a pattern that you seem to like, you can download it as an image, which is really neat. I would like to see a full screen kind of version of this. In fact, I've done a bunch of generative art creation stuff, but on refresh, not mouse click. So I like the idea of the user helping to create that. This is that mix of the machine and people together, working together. I don't know. It's, I think like using AI for coding can seem very fraught to people, and the ecosystem is quite fraught. But the whole ethos of having computers help you do things is not new. We've been using computers to help us do things since the beginning of computers. I like the idea of generative art and how it can be applied to that, especially when it comes to like trying to actually generate true randomness. And if you're like, Jen, what are you talking about? That's totally valid. Search computer randomness and you'll learn about how computer randomness is not really actually like all that random. So yeah. Gurkha in the chat said, hello, Glitch is beautiful. Thank you. I'll make sure that the team knows. We do a lot of hard work in ensuring that Glitch looks and feels friendly and fun to be in. Because if you're going to be coding all day, it might as well be in a joyful environment. This project is by Sophie Wood, who mapped in Salem, Washington. I think it was Washington, yeah. All the manhole covers and gave them like names and just kind of like logged where they are and like the risk level. This is kind of like an art poetry project. I found this because it came up in the Salem Reporter. Let's see. The project's called Porthale. It's a combination of porthole and portal. And she hopes the map might inspire Salem's poets, artists, writers, and explorers by giving them prompts to work with as they're out and about, which is really, really cool. I love map projects. I feature them in the forum and in our monthly newsletter and like on the stream all the time. So whenever I see a glitch URL and it leads to a map, I love to like look through it. So yeah, shouts out to Sophia Wood is the project. This is good stuff. Froggy Chore. Froggy Chore is an old project on Glitch, but has been one of my favorites for a while. It was built by a former Glitch engineer friend of mine, Osmos. And it is a chore list creator. And it's just so freaking cute. Let's see. So, what's a chore that I have to do today? Clean the bathroom. And the day until it's due again, let's say 7 days, and they'll assign it to me. Okay, list has been changed. Please refresh. Now it's gonna warn me in like 7 days that I gotta like do the chore. But it's like a really cute like app. Osmos, I found out about this on co-host. Osmos had posted that there's an update where you can hide assignees. So it's not only like a really cool, cute app on Glitch, but it's one that Osmos is continuing to work on, which is like really great. So froggychore.glitch.me, check that out. John Williams asked about the Port Hills app. What is the mapping component? That's a good question. Let's see. We can actually look at the project. And it's boosted. You see a little gem there. So let's view the source. It's OpenStreetMap. I know, which I think is also what Apple Maps uses. Yeah. OpenStreetMaps is a really great tool. Let's see. Leaflet. I'm familiar with Leaflet. Yeah, they're using Leaflet to make the map. And it's a library for making apps. It's, yeah, you should actually go to the Leaflet page and read about the maintainer and the issues that the project is going through due to what's going on in the world today in Russia and Ukraine. And you can support them. I don't know if they're on Open Collective. I have to look into that. But yeah, Leaflet is an open source library. Looks just like that. It's it comes up a lot, especially when I share like the Maps Mania posts. I believe that they use Leaflet in a lot of their projects. So yeah, check that out. Also, all these links that I share, you can see the run of show actually right now on jamslive.glitch.me, where I post all the links that have come up here. So if you miss anything, don't worry. I'll share the link again at the end of the stream and put it in the description, and you can click through all of these at your own leisure. The next project, this is like really funny. So this came up, it was shared by somebody without any context. And the idea is like you toss these like hot dogs to get to the number pi. What is funny about this, there's two things that are funny. One, this is made by a director of engineering at ACLU, so that's like a fun fact. But on the bottom, it said, inspired by the Calculate Pi by Throwing Frozen Hot Dogs WikiHow. WikiHow is one of my favorite websites, and of course, there is a How to Calculate Pi by Throwing Frozen Hot Dogs article. That's been fact-checked. So yeah, you can calculate pi by throwing frozen hot dogs on your floor. I'm not going to try it because now I know there's a glitch app that I can do it with. So save the hot dogs. The questions, the Q&A on WikiHow are always like so funny. Like, can I do this during my exam if I don't have a calculator? Teacher might not be too happy about it. Why would I do this instead of using a calculator? I don't know, maybe you don't have a calculator, but you have a bunch of frozen hot dogs. Anyway, this is the stuff that I love to see on Glitch. So just toss it and see and learn about the meaning behind the math behind it. I don't know it specifically, but I'm sure it has to do with the fact that like hot dogs are like round and pi is directly correlated, is a number based around circumference. So yeah, hotdogpietoss.glitch.me. Now I want to give a shout out to this creator, Minerva, who made this really cool playlist called Concussion Hacking. And I was like, oh, interesting. So they were going through concussion recovery and built a few projects to help them through that and shared it in case other people are dealing with that. I'm not going to click through all of them. There is one that has a content warning for like probably flashing colors. I haven't looked at it. But I know that like colorful letter chart, they said it was built at my vision therapist's request. And it's a series of just colorful letters and numbers that they probably use to like read and identify. Yeah, so anyway, I think this is like a really cool use of the glitch playlist feature. And I just love the idea that you can use apps to build tools for anything. Mental health, physical health, calculating pi when all you have are frozen hot dogs and not calculators. The glitch community has the range. So yeah, shouts out to Minerva. If you want to have your app featured, you can share it with us in the gallery on support.glitch.com. So just go there, join if you haven't already, and then you just share your posts in the gallery and you can see what other people are sharing as well. And they can be featured as our app of the week, in our newsletter, here on the live stream. And yeah, and if it's part of the jam and you add the code jam hashtag to your project description, we could feature it as part of that as well. We'll be adding a playlist of submissions to the jams page soon. Okay, let me check in on the chat and take a sip from one of the 5 cups of water that I have on my desk. 2 of them are actually edible. The other are paint water that I always forget to empty and almost always almost drink, but haven't yet. Let's see. Now, while I wait to see if any questions come through or if anybody wants to share apps that they're working on or want me to take a look at, it's time to jam. I figured that to optimize my coding speed, I would not wear all of my rings, so I only have 2 of my rings on. So we are aerodynamic, we're getting ready to code. It's been a long week, so I'm not going to go too hard. But my goals for this are to, most importantly, make the chips bigger. I'll explain the context in just a sec. Add googly eyes, and then add my hair in some kind of way. So let me close out all these tabs. Come on, okay. Here's my self-portrait so far, and you can go to self-portrait-js if you want to actually follow along in the editor. Yeah, okay. So I personally prefer my previews to be in a new window and not here on the side. I don't know about you. What do y'all think about? What's your preference as far as preview goes? If I am quickly making an edit and I want to just kind of see it live, in the moment, I'll keep it open, but I prefer that new window. Now, there are 3 things that I want to do, and I probably should just update this in my README. My code jam submission. And can you hear my keyboard? Do you hear my clacky keyboard? I was just wondering. I think I asked that last week and I forgot if anybody had answered. I want to add to my to-do list to do bigger chips. John said can hear, not too clacky. That's good. I don't like keyboards that are too clacky. I don't mind them. I know it's just a regular part of working with developers, but I've always liked softer keyboards, and I use a default keyboard wherever. Actually, Anil was asking me at the office yesterday. He was just like, do you just use the default keyboard? And I'm just like, yeah, I've just never been prescriptive about this stuff, and I have opinions about everything, but I don't act on them, because whether a keyboard's clacky or not, I'm it doesn't mean I'm gonna tell somebody or myself to change it, but I know that on streaming, the audio matters to y'all. So if there's ever any too clacky going on, let me know. But if you want more clacky, that's not gonna happen. Anyway, bigger potato chips, because right now, I changed my cursor last week to be chips, but these are not big enough. And then the other thing I said I wanted to do was add googly eyes. Googly eyes that follow the chips. And then I have to add my hair. And I decided I wanted to paint and then scan in a background for that to put into this, which I was gonna do this week, but again, work and everything has been just so busy that when I get home, I just want to rot on the couch and watch YouTube videos and TikTok. So I haven't gotten to painting anything. Anyway, right now in my assets, I have my small chips. I found the original and I made big chips, and as you can tell, they are definitely bigger. So I'm going to copy that into the CSS. Oh, actually, I moved it into here. Let's oh yeah, I think I have to move that into the file system. So I will get that. So I ran wget and that asset, and then ran refresh so that it's here. And I'm gonna rename that. I could have renamed it in the terminal, but I didn't. And then, ooh. I use a trackpad, like the Apple trackpad at home, and I love it, but when I have to select a long line, it's a big stretch. Where's my cursor? Big chips. Inspector. Okay, my cursor should be big chips. Maybe there's a limit on how big the cursor can be. Let's see. Cursor, image, CSS, maximum size. I never learned about the constraints of it wasn't working because your image is vague. There are restrictions on image dimensions. In Firefox, for example, the size limit is 128 by 128. There we go. Icon limits. That's what we hit. So let's see. User agents commonly restrict them to avoid potential misuse, which is very obvious. Not that what I'm doing is misuse, but it is not exactly what we would want. And I believe that the size I had chosen for this was 200. So I'm gonna resize it to be 128. And I don't think you could see me resizing it because I'm doing that in the preview window. Let me... Okay. Now let's see if I can still just use the URL or if it's gonna... There we go. Cool. Okay, so I don't even need to do the whole wget on this. I like to remove that query parameter because it's gross. So I don't need these. I'm just gonna delete them and just call it in from the assets. Bye-bye, little chips. No one loves you, little chips. Okay, big chips. Here we go. Okay, so we can get that off of the list. Done. Wow. One thing I love about the glitch markdown editor is that I can just use the regular emoji keyboard, unlike Google Docs, which hijacks the emoji keyboard shortcut, and so you can't just like enable it through the keyboard. You have to like go into like the setting, go into some toolbar to open the emoji keyboard. It's actually unfair and Congress should get involved. Okay, bigger chips, googly eyes. Okay, this is actually the fun part. So now that I have the cursor, I want like the eyes to follow the chips, and that will take some JavaScript. So we'll start by creating, this is what I do whenever I'm gonna add JavaScript. I always add script.js and I say console.log, wow. And then I go to below the style link. The only reason why I remember that the attribute is script src is because there used to be this cool tool called script source that had easy copy links to copy like the scriptaculous and the jQueries. Like this is like that era. And because the site was script src, that's the only, like that's my mnemonic from remembering that it's script source and not script href, like href is for link. And then for link, for the link tag, I know that it's href because I know it's the opposite, or in my mind, the opposite of what the script attribute is for loading a file. If that's confusing to you, blame the W3C, because I agree. And also, I use the defer keyword because I want it to wait until my page is loaded to run, and I know that it works. I know that it will work if I open the console and I refresh the page and it says wow. So there we go. And that is how you add JavaScript the Jenn Schiffer way. And that's what the .js stands for, so. Okay, we're in the script. Now, next thing we want to do is we have to, the point of this is to move the pupils to follow the mouse. So we're going to be getting those pupils, and then we're going to be creating an event listening on the mouse movement on the page. the whole page. And then as the mouse moves, we're going to have the pupils move towards the mouse. But like, we don't want it to go off of the eye. But I haven't done this in a while. We're gonna like break some stuff in the process, I think. So first we got to, one, get those pupils. The pupils, if you're not familiar, are the brown part on the inside of the eye. I have brown eyes, and then the whole eye is the container holding the pupils. I'm a computer scientist, not a body scientist, but I've had eyes long enough to just understand that that's how that works. So the eyeballs, the container, and the pupils with inside of it. And then when chips are moving in real life, so are my pupils. So we're using code to just make that happen. Because this is a self-portrait for the Glitch Community Code Jam. Okay. We're going to call them pupils, and then we're going to run document.query query all selector, I think it's query selector all. And I believe I gave them the CSS class pupil. And we can confirm that, well, we could also just say console.log pupils to see if that actually is correct. And if it's correct, I'll get a node list of those two pupil elements, which I have here. And in DevTools, in the console, I like that. I can just like highlight the element there. I don't know if this is probably the same in Chrome. I'm using Firefox right now, but there we go. I got two. Now that I've got them correctly, we got to want to listen on the mouse move event. And so we want to follow the entire window of the page, not just like the face or not just within the eyes. And so we're gonna add an event listener. And the first argument is mouse move. And there's all sorts of like mouse events like click, there's move, there's also touch events. There's like a whole slew of them that you can, find a list of on MDN here. Mouse events. Pointer events. These are pointer events. What about mouse? There's touch events. And then like with an event, you get back a whole bunch of information about that event. And so when you add the event listener mouse move, you want to also give in the second argument the function that you want to run when that event is happening. And so with those events, you get like an event object back. I usually just call it E. And I'm just going to put the function in the second argument. You can split it out. I'm just going to keep it inside there. And then to test it, you can just console log out if you're getting that event information back. And that's like in one of these docs, you can get things like the page X or in touch events as well, you get similar stuff. I'm still like, MDN, I know MDN changed their UI like a while ago, but I'm still getting used to it. But love them, love you guys. Let me refresh the page, and then I have the console open down there. And what should happen is as my mouse moves, information comes and scrolls down the screen. You see that there? It's like happening down on the bottom. So let's look at what one of these objects are. So mouse move is the event, and it gives you like all the information, like where the mouse is. If it's like a key press event, you get told like what key it is. There's all sorts of stuff, and like position on the window is such a like, it could be really complex because you're like offset to like what element you might be in if you're using different kinds of positioning. It gives us a lot of info. So if you're trying to like I'm gonna probably struggle with actually getting these eyes to move in the right way, because I always forget like what's the difference between like page X and screen X. It's all just relative to the elements that you're working with, and it depends on what project you're working on. but I heavily lean on console logging everything and looking in those objects that I'm returned, what's going on. But what we're going to be looking for is page X and page Y, because we're talking about the entire window of this project, which makes things a lot easier. That's also why my PixArt editor, Make 8-Bit Art, is full window. It just makes things a lot easier. You don't have to like do extra math to find out relatively where your cursor happens to be relative to like if we were just doing inside the face, or if we were to move the face and only want to be having the event in the face. Anyway, just wanted to let you know this is gonna get a little wacky. Okay, so we have the information. So now what we want to do is actually we can get where the X and Y are by saying say X equals X will equal the event dot page X dot page Y. And if we wanted to move the eyes to where the cursor actually is at, which we don't, because again, we want to keep it kind of close and inside the eye. But for the sake of just getting through this function, we'll have our X and Y, and then we'll take that X and Y and we will transform the style of those pupils using the translate 3D property, which rotates and moves it. And we're only moving it on the XY axis because it's a 2D image, but you can add 3 arguments to translate 3D because it's 3-dimensional. So to get started, to transform the style and change it, you would just use what you wanted to move. So let's say we haven't applied this yet, but let's say for now, pupils, the first one, which will probably be the left one, style that transform equals, and then translate 3D XY, and then I think you have to put like something for Z. And this is not how you write variables into JavaScript, so I'm just gonna do a template literal here. So we want that value of X, the value of Y. This will pop these variables into this string here. And 0px, do they have to be in quotes? I don't think that they have to be. Yeah, they don't have to have the values in quotes. You see how like 5ch and whatever, so we can just keep it as this. And so as we move the mouse, the pupils, or at least the first pupil, would in theory move to that. Let's see. Okay. It's not doing anything, but that's fine. That just means that my stuff is wrong, but I'm just doing like kind of like pseudocode anyway, so again, I'm iterating on this. Let's see. Okay. Now, what we want to do here is we want to move both of the pupils, not just like the first pupil. And ideally, we would, whatever we're doing here, would apply to each one. So what we got to do is do a for each. So as the mouse moves, we want to move each pupil. And so we have the pupils, we could do for each. And for each item or each pupil, I'll just call it a pupil. We'll call a function. And that's where we do this stuff. So we say, as the mouse, so we have these two pupils, and in the window, the mouse is moving. As the mouse is moving, we want each pupil to see, well, actually, I think we can get the, I was thinking, like, should this be outside of here? But no. For each of the people, we want to have it move or translate it to the other spot. Those are my alerts going off. Sorry if you heard that. Let's see if this does anything. This is not, we're not complete, but like, okay, so we're not moving. People, dot style, dot transform, translate 3D, X, Y, that. Okay. We need to, because I don't want the eyes to move out, I don't want the pupils to move outside of the eyes, so we have to get the actual boundary of the eyes for the pupil to help us generate what the actual X and Y should be, because it shouldn't be where the cursor actually is, because again, the pupils stay within the eyes. And there is a function to get to basically generate a rectangle or find the rectangle of the container that the pupil's in, which in this case are the eyes. And so we usually just use the get bounding client rect function, or as I call it, just the get rect function. So we're about to get rect. So for the pupil, we're gonna get the bounding client rect. I hate that it's rect though. It should just be rectangle, but the property that you get back, I don't know. We can do another stream. Actually, we won't. Complaining about the naming of things. Anyway, if we console log rect, this might cause quite a bit of chaos in the console as we're moving. You get the boundaries, the rectangular boundaries of each of the pupils that are there. So now we know that we don't want the X or Y to be like further than that. And so X, and I'm sorry that this involves math, but like this is why math is in schools. We can now change the boundaries based on like what the how far we want the pupils to go. I know that probably sounds very confusing, but basically pupils stay in eyes. Pupils do not leave eyes. Need to know how big eyeball is so pupil don't leave is what I'm doing. And also I want the pupils to like kind of stay close and have like a cool hover effect. And so you want to make sure that like you divide it by something. And it could be like, normally I start with like 50 for that, just for trial and error, and then you have to add px, because I just remembered, I'm just realizing now, like, oh, we have 0 px or z, but there's no px. Actually, we don't have to do this. I think this is why it wasn't working, because the arguments require the units of it. And that's fun. I love programming. We're gonna do the same for page Y, where you have rec.top, and then let's divide that by 50, and let's see if this does anything. Boom. You see how my eyes are moving? Exciting. We love this. It still kind of looks like a dead stare, but that's fine. I think also I want the start of the pupils to be in the center of the eye so that they're moving there. But hey, that's a win. Can I get an alien emoji? Can I get at least one alien emoji in the chat to congratulate me on remembering get bounding client wrecked and getting the eyes moving? Which is great. Okay, so we got 5 minutes left until we got to get back to the real world. Thank you, John, for the alien. Let's see. What happens if we lower this? I can show you what happens if you don't do it, which probably is best. See? The eyes are... Whoa! Also, where's that... You see that, like, flickering ghost eye? Thanks to Alien Suds. That's what happens if you don't divide it. Let's divide it by like 25. Okay, that gives it more. And I kind of like the pupils leaving the eye a bit because it's kind of like cartoony. But let's see if we can update the CSS. I want to see how do we get the pupil to be centered, perhaps. Maybe for eye. Pupil is not positioned. Can an element be text aligned? No, that wouldn't do anything. Okay, here's the CSS thing I'll have to like look more deeper into, but I love this. This is so much fun. Let's move the face. Why is my face absolute positioned? I don't want that. But what I want is... That's it. That's why I want the face. So I have main... I'm just playing in the console. I want to move the face to like the center. But like I gotta move like my items as well. And then I realized like, oh, the face is the box. And I don't want that. I want the face. I want these to be inside of the face. Prettier. Okay, cool. Now we're good. And then the face position's not absolute, and the margin, so let's say, okay. And the position is relative. There we go. That's what's going on. Okay, cool, cool. So face. Last week, I told you that if you have elements or absolute positioned within another container, that container has to have the position set to relative. Otherwise, your nose and your mouth end up somewhere else in space and not like in your actual face. I was using this main container to be the container for everything, but that just doesn't make sense anymore. And that's just showbiz, baby. That's just how the world works. I'm gonna get rid of, I don't need really CSS for main, but for the face, I want to have it be at the center right now. I'm gonna change that, deciding on whether what my hair situation is going to be, but here we go. We have eyes that are following it. You know like in the cartoons where there'll be like alley cats and then like a hot woman will walk by, or someone walks by with like a pie and like the animals, their eyes kind of like go out of their sockets. That's a style idea for the future. Anyway, we got through most of the stuff that I wanted to do, which was we got bigger chips and we added googly eyes to follow the chips with very few lines of JavaScript, math that is a little wacky, but as you practice, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with mouse move because I do a lot of like art editor tools in JavaScript. I'm only able to do this off like the top of my head because I've been doing it for a while. So if you're kind of like, how do you even like know all that stuff? Really like lean on MDN web docs and Stack Overflow and stuff to help you figure that stuff out. And it'll come to you, and then if it doesn't come to you and you have to look it up like I did, like that's okay too. That's just how the world works. Anyway, this is really fun. I think I'm done. This is a good closing point. Go to jamslive.glitch.me. I will post a link in the chat to it right now. So you can see all the links that I shared today. Boom. Pop to the chat. And I got in just before Jen did. There's that like latency issue where I'm talking in real time and you're hearing it a few seconds later. I love that about streaming. But the link's so nice we linked it twice. All the news and updates about the Node version stuff is there. All the links that I shared from the gallery are there, and a link to this project if you wanted to remix it and use that as your jumping point for your self-portrait, you can do that too. But other than that, for those of you that celebrate or are going away for holiday next week, I hope you have a nice, safe, and fun holiday. And I will see you on glitch.com, and I'll be back on the stream on December 1st to kick off our next prompt. Have a good day. Bye.